Ogo, look at this for us, and this is very important. We can't afford to miss it. The rise of nationalistic movements and tendencies around the world, in the United States, with the election of Donald Trump, with the Brexit, and what Europeans are thinking, trying to steal businesses from UK as far as everybody wants it. France wants it. Germany wants it. Italy wants it. Spain wants positioning itself. So China is also flexing its muscles. So it looks like everybody is looking back, protect the days of protectionism, if not totally nationalism. So that means that the pushback to the fiscal side of things from the monetary side is getting a lot stronger. You need not to just worry about locally, you need to worry what is happening globally. So geopolitical positioning as we speak. Now, it looks like every man to himself. How do you think the fiscal side should respond for this? There's a lot more work to do.
I think let's also dimension these geopolitical problems that we're having all over the world. If you are a student of economic history, you will know that once income is being squeezed, people tend to react politically and socially. And that is what we are seeing. The incomes of majority of the global citizens, especially in these rich countries, have been squeezed terribly in the last 5 years. I mean, we're having growth of 1% and recessions. So those are incomes being squeezed. People are not seeing their incomes growing. People are losing jobs. And automatically, they will respond politically and socially.
So Donald Trump says, give back our jobs.
Give up our jobs. In Italy,
United States, yes.
And everything that is external is always a problem. So that's the first thing. So what do we do? In Nigeria, I've said this many times. We have our long-term problems, economic growth and development. And we have our short-term problem caused by the decline in oil prices. Yeah. So it is not so much about what what monetary policy can do now. It is about what fiscal policy can do. And my fear, and I said it in the last time I was here, my fear is that we are too slow to react. We are too slow. In the last 18 months, everybody saw this. Everybody saw what was going to happen. In the first quarter of this year, the economy contracted. Second quarter, the economy contracted. In the third quarter, it contracted. Now, the question I ask is, what is the fundamental change in economic policy that we have seen this year? I can't see it. I don't know it. So, what fiscal policy should do is, this is the time to embark on reforms, extensive reforms, around revenue, around growth, around manufacturing, around infrastructure. And I bet it, even with the geopolitical stance in the global economy today, if you put in real and genuine investment outlets, people will bring in money into this economy because the long-term potential of this economy has not been erased, whether by the decline in oil prices. The long-term growth potential is still there.
So the fundamentals is good. Tope, is it something you need to weigh in on this conversation as well? Look at a country like Egypt, despite all the geopolitical tensions being drawn from north-south in the world, and everybody's looking at the problems all the time. Look at how Egypt was able to go to the market, raised $17 billion within 24 hours, still getting more support from Saudi Arabia, is getting support from the US. The IMF, they just floated the currency a few weeks ago, and the IMF is singing the praises of floating currency in Egypt. And looks like money is flowing into that economy very strongly. The stock market was making a comeback. Now, what exactly are the issues with us here in Nigeria? We floated the same currency 6 months or about 5 months ago. We haven't seen much reaction. The old world told us to float. We floated. Then we needed to fix currency. We fixed it. So what exactly is the fiscal side to be handled, looking at other countries around us?
I think that, first of all, in my view, sometimes I don't quite agree that simply we just have a money problem, or that the kind of reforms we should do are such that you just bring in money. And the Nigerian economy, when government talks about diversifying the economy, if you look very carefully, you see that what they're talking about really is diversifying of federal revenue. We don't want to sell crude oil anymore. We want to sell solid minerals so we can bring in money. Same old idea, bring in money and then have this meeting and share to the states. But what we need to do, like was said here, that this economy still has a lot of potential that we haven't even started tapping into. We need a fundamental reinvention of the Nigerian economy. We have a productivity problem. That is what I will always say. You know, we've got this huge demographic in Nigeria that are not actually producing much. And in any other country, I mean, whereas people would wait here and say, we want our people to graduate, and then we now look at, what do we do with graduate unemployment? If you went to most of Europe, almost all of Europe, you know, and the ones that are having problems in Europe are the ones that didn't prepare for this. If you go to Europe, if you go to the US, you see that most people, it's secondary school level that people start to talk of unemployment. So are we kicking in that demographic?
But we're talking about postgraduate.
Exactly. We're talking about graduates, you know, and the way things are right now, I mean, there seems to be no hope. I mean, you're not going to get enough jobs for them, and therefore they're not going to be putting as much as they should be putting into the economy. So what we need is actually a reinvention of economics in Nigeria. We need a reinvention of the economy and of the way we think about economics. The whole idea of neoliberalism and all this idea about market forces. Market is going to work, but government also has to work. Markets will work better when government know what they're doing.
You agree with that?
So I'm going to say, you know, so economics has moved. What people don't know, and I think I'll challenge our economists to do this, do a lot more research. Just like science has moved, economics as well has evolved. And we need to think about, there's what they call complexity economics now. You look at the way the entire economy and different parts of the economy interact together to produce the whole. The way we are looking at it now, we have a lot of these lovely meetings, and we're thinking in terms of only one direction of the economy. Oh, what is crude oil doing? Oh, crude oil has been going down, and therefore the economy is down. It's a very myopic, and if you like, not a very robust way of thinking. You know, it's only one aspect of the economy. The way it's going now, interest rates as an instrument and monetary policy will not be able to slow down this inflation. We need to go and look at, and it will not be able to take us out of this.
In terms of the market efficiency that everybody's looking for, in terms of how you allow market forces, demand and supply, to drive currency market, to drive the stock market, drive bonds, treasury bills, are investing in the yields and what have you they've got. And Toko was talking about, look, if you have a structural from a fiscal deficiency side, how do you expect a market on such a structure to be efficient? Is this part of an automobile?
Okay, let me use the next 2 minutes or something to tell you about some of the ideas I've been thinking about lately. I like traveling around the country, by road. I like going on the road. You know why? It allows me to see the country. And if you travel around the country, there is something that you see. Even though these local economies are feeling the effect of the decline in oil prices, there is nothing much that is changing fundamentally in those places. That's one thing you first of all notice. Now, what it means is that the growth that we've always had, yes, significant, but they've been foiled by increases in oil prices. So we need to develop local economies. So how do you develop local economies? You need to get the state government involved. How do you get the state government involved? There must be an incentive to get them involved. And the incentive is revenue. But look at our fiscal structure. The federal government collects all corporate taxes. All corporate taxes. So you have a gigantic company like Dangote, for instance, in Kogi, and Kogi State benefits nothing from it. Except you say, oh, workers are paying taxes. I mean, that's not enough. Now, you go through all those industries. You have the company that makes trophy in Elisha. It's a gigantic company for the size of Elisha. However, go through the front of that company, the roads are bad. The roads are awful.
That's a federal road.
Are they federal roads or are they state roads? So what is the incentive for state government to get involved? Now you have VAT. How much does the federal government collect on VAT? Dismal performance. Why? Because all over the world, VAT as a sales tax is supposed to be a local taxation. But you come from Abuja to collect VAT from Zungeru, to collect VAT from Abeokuta, to collect VAT from rural areas. They are not going to pay. The state governments are not involved. The state governors are not interested. So we need all these incentives to change the way in which our economy works.
So we need to go down to a table and restructure the fiscal economy.
Absolutely.
So where do you agree?
Oh, absolutely.